and good morning to all of you guys. This is Ryan here, and last night I decided to watch The Flash after all this time, after keeping aside every single personal bias, keeping aside my thoughts about how Warner Brothers handled this movie, all the behind the scenes drama and disrespect to all the previous creators and whatever, everything. I went in with a blank slate, right? I went in with zero expectations to see if I could just enjoy the movie for what it was. Because as soon as the movie came out in theaters, I was met with a plethora of clips online that basically spoiled the movie, but I did not really care, so I was fine with watching them. Most of the clips were bad. A few of them were good. They were like genuinely heartfelt, emotional scenes or cool visual effects, extravaganza. But I was hoping that maybe the ratio would differ. Like maybe due to the presence of these good scenes, the bad scenes will get overshadowed by them. But let's see how that went for me, right? So before I begin the video, I'm just gonna play this small trailer on loop so that you guys have something to watch while I talk. I don't have any scripts. I did not note down anything because it was a dark room. I decided to just sit down and enjoy this like any theater going person would, right? So I did not take any notes. I did not do anything. Whatever I remember, I will just say it outright, right? So let us begin with The Flash. Now, this movie, right? Like I said, I went in with zero expectations, blank slate, everything. The first 15 minutes were genuinely good. Genuinely good. Like, I did not find any reason to complain. I was like, okay, fine. Things are happening and I'm enjoying it, right? It's a good scene. I did not, however, like how talkative Barry was, but it was fine. It was really fine. Like there wasn't any problems with it. So we got a little bit of classic world building stuff with Batman with Alfred calling Barry. Oh, by the way, spoilers for the movie if you guys haven't seen it. So it's out online, and you guys can watch it in your free time. But I would not advise you to watch it very early in the morning or very late at night because you might get sucked out of it because there's a chunk of this movie where you might tend to zone out, right? So yeah, back to where I was. Barry is acting fine. It's more akin to his Justice League self or whatever. But he's a bit more talkative here, and they emphasized on how he needs to eat a lot of food to like keep track of his calories and stuff. And Alfred calls him. He goes to help. Bam, bam, bam. Big, nice suit up scene, comedy. It was fine, right? It was fine. And for a moment, I thought that what they were going for with this movie is a very Christopher Reeve, back in the day approach of superhero movies. Like there's obviously there's destruction going on, but there's this big orchestral music in the background, and it's very the dialogue is like, oh no, this happened. What are we gonna do? Oh look, there's a superhero. The dialogue felt like that, and I was fine with it. I was like, okay, this is the type of movie that I'm signing up for. But then later on, it shifted to a bit of the modern tones, like the emotional scenes hit hard and whatever, which is why I felt a bit confused because if they were going for the Christopher Reeve tone, then they should have committed to it and not made it such a big mishmash and not included any extremely hard emotional drama or like emotional plot points, but then only for them to be overshadowed by more Christopher Reeveism, I guess, because like you drop something extremely like messed up, like General Zod killing baby Clark Kent, and right after that you just overshadow it with bam 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 orchestral music and Flash running around and stuff. So it's just I feel like it takes away from the impact a lot, right? I did manage to, however, note down a few points. For example, yeah, the first major plot point that like I don't want to say it bothered me, but I was like, wait a minute. So that plot point is very silly, right? Like Listen to me. Barry's dad was kept at Iron Heights Penitentiary. Now, if you're a fan of DC, like me, you know how messed up a crime you have to commit to get into Iron Heights. Like, that's Iron Heights is the prison for DC. It's the prison. It's like it's akin to, I don't know, like maybe the Raft from the MCU, the big floating prison in the middle of nowhere. Um, I think it's more akin to the Raft, or maybe even worse. It's like the prison where the most elite of the criminals are kept. Like those who are not fit to go into Arkham Asylum are kept there, like Killer Croc and all those things. Um, and I was majorly accustomed to Iron Heights through the Arrow show, the CW show that was really great. Watch it. And also Batman Arkham Knight, which again, like I said, housed Killer Croc and a bunch of other like dangerous criminals. So it felt a bit weird for Barry's dad to be a suspect in murder and to be held at Iron Heights. Which again, Iron Heights prison looked like a freaking a general ass prison with no substance, which again confused me. Like, was the name drop just there to like please hardcore DC fans? Because this doesn't make sense. At least to me, but you guys can have your own opinions. Yeah, by the way, I want to point this out that whatever I felt about this movie is strictly bound to me. I don't want to influence your opinions about this movie in any way, shape, or form. You guys can watch this movie, enjoy it, fine. Don't enjoy it, that's fine as well. But do not let anyone else tell you that you are a weirdo for liking a movie or you are not normal for hating a movie. Whatever. Do not let other people tell you that you are weird for liking something or not liking something, right? So what I am saying right now is strictly what I felt watching throughout the movie. A few more things that I noticed. This is when I was slightly noting a few things down. Um, yeah, another major plot point is that I think that this movie is canon to Zack Snyder's Justice League because Bruce Wayne, Ben Affleck, mentions that Barry, oh, so you traveled back in time, like you said you did in Pozharnov, which, get this, did not happen in Justice League. This happened strictly in Zack Snyder's Justice League, which I was very happy when they dropped this, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, you have my attention now, because this movie kind of like was in a limbo stage. Every movie after Justice League and Zack Snyder Justice League was kind of in a limbo stage where we were like, is this canon to the theatrical one? Is this canon to the Zack Snyder one? No idea, right? So I am so freaking glad that this is canon to Zack Snyder's Justice League, even though it feels widely disconnected from that universe. Maybe because there's like barely any characters that were shown in the Justice League movie. All of them are new except maybe Kiersey Clemens' Iris West, which I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna talk about her a while later. Um, but yeah, so it's canon to Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is great. And then another scene where he talks about I don't know, like he says there was another scene that like was a direct reference to Zack Snyder's Justice League. Yeah, many moments were there. In fact, like when he's running in the Chrono Ball and he sees the fight between Superman and the League in at Heroes Park. There's shots of like Aquaman pointing at Barry, which is again Zack Snyder's Justice League. Uh, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. So this movie is like full on like canon with Zack Snyder's Justice League, but I guess the studios allowed this to pass, or maybe they did not care enough, so like they did not see what's going on. But I'm so glad that Warner Brothers allowed this. Um, no matter how the movie turned out to be, honestly. So it's kind of to ZSJL, which is great. And then I just want to get into the story, right? So, Barry is doing this, he's doing his forensics research and whatever, and he gets inspiration from a bunch of factors. Uh, you get the actor from The Sandman who plays Kane. Yeah, Kane. And he tells Barry to not be late and whatever. I expect a lot from you and etc. Then you get some brilliant Bruce Wayne dialogue and the brilliant Maybach shot. Um, Man, Ben Affleck saying the line, not this time, maybe some other time, hit me so hard in a very meta way because we're not gonna see him again as Batman, right? So he's done. But and like when he says that with a smile on his face, that you know what, maybe not this time, some other time. It just it hit me so hard and like beyond the movie that was like good job, team, but I will forever hate Warner Brothers for what they did to these characters, what they did to my favorite characters. Um, but yeah, again, then we get that very nice flashback of Barry's past, and it's interesting to me that they chose something as simple as the tomato evidence for to prove Henry's innocence, but I guess that works, so I ran along with it. I ran along with it, get it? Then we get a brilliant shot of Barry traveling back in time, which I want to say this. I want to say this, right? The Chrono Bowl was completely unnecessary. I said this. It's completely unnecessary. They did not have to do that at all. At all, right? I don't know how many of you are gonna feel like this, feel the same way, but I felt like the scene with him traveling back in time, it was perfect. Like he's running, speeding up, and then boom, 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 like time, like this shot, right? This shot right here, time barrier, and boom, you enter the blue Speed Force. Again, similar to Zack Snyder's Justice League, he's like leaving footsteps and stuff. Um, but then he like stretches out and he starts running backwards in place, and I'm like, what the hell is going on, right? And then he forms the Chrono Bowl, which is some weird concept that they only came up for this movie, and I don't think exists in the comics. There was a cosmic treadmill in the comics, but the Chrono Bowl concept, I think the bad things about it are one, it puts a lot of stress on the animators for animating all of that stuff around them. It's just a bunch of noise and it's so unnecessary, which is why I think they went with the artistic choice of not refining the CGI. They said it's an artistic choice, and while watching the movie, but what like I said, like when I saw this on social media, I was like, why would that be an artistic choice? That's just lazy reasoning. But then I watched the movie and I was like, all right, maybe I'll forgive it. But again, like the whole Chrono sequence was very unnecessary. You could just show him running, running, running. We've seen this in the Flashpoint Paradox movie. We've seen it in the TV show. It works so well. He just runs back in time, gets glimpses of what's going on outside the time stream, and then pops out, pops back in. It's fine. No need to do any of that Chrono shit, man. It just felt so extra minutes wasted on animation and like nothing essentially. So he pops out back in time during the baby incident. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about the baby incident. Good lord, that was borderline harrowing to watch, right? They wanted to do a Quicksilver from X-Men Days of the Future Past, right? It was that movie, right, where Quicksilver did the "If I could stop time in a bottle" or whatever that song is. They wanted to do something like that, and it I don't think it worked the way it would. But I did like it, but again, like sometimes it felt a bit too goofy, right? Like Flash is just eating shit up. But again, it was established, so I'm willing to let that pass. I'm willing to let that pass, right? Um, he saved all of them. I think I do think the scene went for a little bit too long, and there were CGI babies in the microwave, which I was like, ugh. But hey, back to the Chrono Ball. Useless stuff. Very useless stuff. They should have taken it out of the movie. It would have saved so much of the animation budget. You have no idea. Um, so he goes back in time again, and then, Savitar of this movie essentially pushes him out of the Chrono Bowl to a timeline where Barry's mom lives. Uh, then the plot goes along and everything. We meet young Barry, who's 18 years old and quite a spoiled brat who maybe does drugs and stuff, uh, and is very annoying with that weird laugh. It's oh my god, it's so annoying. I get that it's characterization, but that's such a bad characterization, man. Young Barry is probably the worst part of the movie. Like you cannot do that to Ezra Miller. He plays normal Barry so well, and then when it goes to playing young Barry, he just like you just tell him to be more, I don't know, autistic, I guess. I don't know. Um, Another thing, like if this is truly canon to Zack Snyder's Justice League, he behaved way more normal in Zack Snyder's Justice League than he does in this movie. He over here he's just like dialed up to 11 24/7. And normal Barry is like that, so younger Barry is obviously more like, I don't know, man. It's such a bad part about the movie. Young Barry takes me out of most of the scenes. So we go back in time, meet young Barry, whatever, whatever. Um, this movie is kind of vulgar in many, many places. Like, I did not want to see Ezra Miller's butt at like 3 a.m. at night, which is it's crazy. Like these shots, like naked Flash running around, and then a bunch of like cuss words and like sexual stuff mentioned in the movie. Unnecessary, totally unnecessary. And I wonder how they allowed it. It's PG-13, right? So, uh, then we meet, alternate versions of Patty and the other friend, whatever his name is. Um, Wait, Patty, was that supposed to be Patty Spivot? I don't even know, man. I don't even know with this movie. Patty Spivot is a crucial Flash character, but they just barely reduced them to like background characters in this movie. Good lord, they couldn't have made a normal Flash movie. I don't know, man. This is so weird to me. Patty Spivot is an important character. But then alternate universe, they try to recreate the incident, end up, main Barry losing his powers, young Barry getting his powers, he goes psycho. A really nice scene of him running around, but again, the whole butt ass naked scene is just weird. Uh, this movie, I think, excels in most of the running shots and the emotional shots, which is, I would say, the strong point of the movie. And I could have only had the Flash running around, cleaning up the city with a bunch of heartfelt scenes, but then, yeah, like you couldn't have that. You just had to make this whole multiversal whatever drama for Warner Brothers to show everything they own, right? It's weird shit, man. Um, then we got a bit of important DCU lore that Barry was actually there at the Black Zero event and he tried to save people, but the most he could do is save a kid. And then he maybe felt so unable to do anything that he just ran back to Central City or whatever. Whatever. Nice little bit of lore, but again, I think if this was to be planned out from the very beginning, like we got a glimpse of Bruce Wayne being at the Black Zero event, right? And that was set up in Man of Steel. You see things are going on, and then in BVS you see Bruce Wayne in at Metropolis, and scenes are exactly playing out like the way in Man of Steel. And you can see what Bruce is doing from an alternate POV. But over here, it felt a bit weird, but I was willing to accept it. It was fine. But then yeah, it's just there's a lot of this movie. There's a lot that this movie does well, but towards the second and the third acts are where it starts losing me a little bit. So Barry gets powers, Barry loses powers, then they go to, they realize that Aquaman is not born. Um, things are weird, things are different. He destroys the universe. They go to see Batman, and somehow nobody acknowledges that he's like 78 years old and still kicking butt. Um, the Wayne Manor is extremely well designed. I wonder if it's the exact same model that they used in the old movies, with the Michael Keaton home. This one, the Wayne Manor. The interiors and everything are amazing. It's so good. So he says that Gotham is crime free, which I don't know what he means by that. Did he just nuke the whole city? I don't know what he did. I don't know. He cleaned up the entire city, or maybe just killed all of them. No idea. No backstory to that, which is good. We don't need more superheroes into this movie. Like, it already felt so jam packed that it sort of felt being deviated from a Flash movie. Batman helps them. They find Kara in some Russian. They didn't even explain it in a normal Flashpoint way. The only reason that Clark Kent in Flashpoint was, locked up in a secure chamber and experimented on was because he crash landed in Metropolis, right? And here it's not said that he crash landed somewhere and killed hundred millions of thousands of people, which is why he was like trapped and experimented on. No, he wasn't. Kara wasn't anything like that. She just landed, and then apparently some Russians took her in. Whatever. No explanation on that at all. Did she land in Russia? I have no idea. No idea. None of it was explained. So the free Kara, we get a bunch of very nice Michael Keaton Batman action, which I have to say, damn, the Batman scenes are incredibly well done. The first chase scene, impeccable, brilliant, perfect. I was like, okay, this movie's off to a strong start. And then the Michael Keaton action scene, amazing, like straight out of the Arkham games. Takedowns, batarangs, gadgets, wow, amazing. So they go out and then Supergirl fights and it looks weird as hell, so bad. Then they go. Apparently, they just left the suit in the chamber for whatever reason. Uh, I don't know. I don't know if the suit was meant to like fit her. If Kara came in, I don't know what the lore logic behind that is. So they took the suit. Kara wears the suit. Haha, she gets powered up and says that she doesn't want to help anyone with the Black Zero event, right? Um, which I was like, that's crazy. So Kara goes to like stop Zod, but sees everyone getting killed. General Zod and Ferora CGI is super weird, which again, like the CGI really starts getting bad towards the second and the third half, and in the third half it's just so bad. Like even the top of the Wayne Manor scene looked like straight out of a PlayStation game, worse even. Um, so Kara sees this, and then she's like, "Yo, I will help you." And then they recreate the accident, yada yada. Then they get a little bit of emotional scenes that's undercut by the freaking young Barry goofing around and whatever. A bunch of jokes that don't land essentially. So they recreate the accident. Barry gets his powers. Um, I love that there's so much exposition and comic lore dump into the Flash, which made me really want to watch this because I really wanted to know more about this character and I want to see him say the stuff that it happened to him in the comics in the movie. But it felt very hollow, like I said, very early 1980s superhero movie type, right? So like, there's no substance. Like my parents died because of this happened, and so now I have powers. It's like that. It feels very hollow. But I would say Ezra's performance as normal Barry elevates this movie so much because he's perfect as Barry, as this version of Barry at least. Um, in the CW version, obviously Grant Gustin's Flash is the more normal Barry Allen that we know and love. This version is a bit awkward. He's still a bit too overwhelmed by his powers, but he still is very mature to know when it is the right time to stop and when it's the right time to focus. So that's nice. Like especially well, like when he's searching for Clark Kent and whatever. Um, so they join the final battle and things go wrong. And they real young Barry's like, you know what? We can go back in time. So again, Chronoball shenanigans goes back in time. Young Barry keeps on getting stabbed and stabbed. He has a crush on Kara, and turns out the Dark Flash that we see is essentially young Barry who's been doing this for a really, really long time, but nothing happens, right? Nothing happens because it is a fixed moment in time. It's supposed to happen, whatever. By the way, I really like the time travel logic. Like when you create a new timeline, you create a whole new past as well as future. So that was really great. Um, then the villain there wasn't actually any villain in this movie. It was always like they're trying to do something but it's not happening. Then somehow Michael Keaton's old ass Batwing takes on two Kryptonian ships, which by the way, if you guys saw Man of Steel, you know how fast and how powerful those things are, and apparently Michael Keaton just hooked them up with a wire, and those ships, went out along a mountain and then boom crashed into each other because Of course they did. And Michael Keaton just could just easily latch a grenade onto Namek and blow him up and then fight him essentially like some Arkham takedown, even though he got tossed to the ground, but he still managed to take down Namek, which is it was a cool scene, but it makes no freaking sense. And also, I would like to say that, like I said, that the CGI started to get worse and worse in the third and final acts. They tried to recreate many moments from the old Zack Snyder's movies, like the snap zooms and the laser effects and Feora all like zooming by and hitting people. None of it felt any impactful at all. The punches felt hollow, the speed felt weird and cartoony, and the whole "you are not alone" like "my name is General Zod" message on the TV screens felt so bad. And even the normal CGI faces of Michael Shannon and Feora, like they did such a bad job, man. It's crazy to me because apparently the same team that worked on Man of Steel worked on this movie, and I guess this is because of time crunch and like excessive overload. They just couldn't match the level on that they worked on like 10 years ago or something. 2013 CGI looks better than this movies, which is insane to me. Like I said, the Chrono Ball was useless. They should not have allowed that to happen. But then all of a sudden, like they want to show that it breaks the multiverse, and then they bring in this is the worst part. Like I was at this point I was like completely zoning out of the movie, but I like kept going, so whatever. At this point, you see multiple chronobos like converging into each other. You see freaking George Reeves, CGI George Reeves again. Um, who, by the way, if you're a casual moviegoer, first of all, you would have no connection to him whatsoever because he was a very old Superman. If you're a fan, then you know that this guy legit killed himself, and I mean it very seriously. He killed himself because his role as Superman was so popular that later in life he did not get any more roles, and it became a curse to him. And they brought him back using CGI. Maybe this whole SAG after writer strike is a good thing because companies need to stop doing this. I feel at this very moment as I'm talking about it, I feel very angry to even bring this up, honestly. But anyway, moving on from that, we see that an alternate Jay Garrick, I presume that is Jay Garrick running in a Chrono Bowl, which means to maybe symbolize like those guys running in their respective Chrono Bowls. So every single Flash is running in the separate Chrono Bowl, and there's multiple stuff happening all around them. So the Jay Garrick of the George Reeves universe is Teddy Sears' AI face. Teddy Sears, by the way, played Jay Garrick or Hunter Zolomon Zoom in the CW Flash. And apparently they didn't even call him for the movie, they just used an AI model of his face. Again, maybe the writer strike is a good thing. Writers and actor strike is a good thing. They did not pay him, whatever. Nothing. And that's supposed to be Jay Garrick. That's the only Flash related cameo that we saw. Not even what was his name? The original Flash. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I know his name. Frick. Jay Garrick, the guy who played Jay Garrick in the Flash, Jay Garrick, actor, CW. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. John Wesley Shipp. Yeah, yeah, yeah. John Wesley Shipp. The actual old, like the first Flash that was like a big hit. And then he played Jay Garrick in the CW Flash. John Wesley Shipp, they couldn't get him. They couldn't acknowledge Grant Gustin. Like it's so annoying to me at this point because they use Teddy Sears as an alternate Flash, which makes no sense. They use it as Jay Garrick, which makes no sense because he's supposed to be a fake Jay Garrick. They couldn't use if they were going to use AI, they should have at least used John Wesley Shipp's face, which is insane to me. Like how they could go so wrong with this. They don't acknowledge CW Barry giving him the title of the Flash essentially. None of that. They could not have shown him. There was You showed Nicolas Cage fighting a spider for like a whole 5 minutes, and you couldn't even put 1 second in for Grant Gustin, like the Flash, the guy that popularized Flash. You couldn't do that. Annoying shit. I was like, third act was really the weakest for me, man. It's just at this point I was like frustrated at all the wrong decisions that this movie was following through. Uh, Another CGI recreation of Christopher Reeve, Helen Slater, Supergirl, bad CGI, even not even good CGI, and you can't excuse that for being in a Chrono Bowl. I was fine with it, bad CGI, as long as it was in the Chrono Bowl, but we clearly saw the parts, breaking in, and you saw the people outside the Chrono Bowl. So within Christopher Reeves' universe, he's not supposed to look that bad. He's supposed to look like a normal freaking human being. They couldn't have gotten Brandon Ruth to do that part, and maybe Melissa Benoist to be Supergirl. They couldn't do that. Brandon Ruth is supposed to be the direct continuation to the Reeves movies, man. Like, how do you do this? How do you mess this up so bad if you're even trying to do it? I mean, at least the CGI on the Nicolas Cage shots was relatively better, I would say. Um, and nobody, no general moviegoer is gonna realize what the Nicolas Cage Superman scene is meant about. Like only hardcore fans know that there was about to be a movie made by Tim Burton starring Nicolas Cage. No general moviegoer will have any connection to that, and they will not cheer in the theaters. They would be like, "Ah, what am I watching again?" None of that. We saw Adam West's Batman. We saw everyone apart from actual Flash characters, man, which is something that this movie went through a lot of rewrites, a lot of behind the scenes drama, and this is the version they chose to go with? Christina Hodson's version? Like, did they not? Oh my god, why do they keep hiring this woman? They don't. She does not know how to make a good movie. She does not know how to respect characters, and I say this outright with as much contempt as possible. I am not like giving a formal movie review right now. I'm gonna say this: they should stop hiring Christina Hodson for superhero movies. It's she's a terrible writer. Disrespected Cassandra Cain, disrespected the Birds of Prey. Even though it was a good movie, but the characters themselves were disrespected. They, she disrespects the characters over here. Oh my god, the notification sounds are insane. She disrespects the characters in this movie, does not include any spot for actual Flash characters. The actual Flash characters like Patty Spivot and that other friend, they could have been at least closer to Barry's life, but no. We just want our like cameos so audience will cheer in the theaters like they did in No Way Home and whatever other movies that came out next. Doesn't happen like that, man. Like, if you want to even choose your cameos, you should make them at least recognizable. Nicolas Cage fighting a spider, no one apart from hardcore fans is gonna know what that's about. And that's what a again, Chronoball useless. What was the point of this whole thing? I have no idea. What was the point of like showing Christopher Reeve and Helen Slater looking outside the Chronoball? No idea. No idea. It didn't please us visually. It didn't do anything. It was just a lot of extra work for VFX artists, which they aren't even proud of at this point, I think, because The Flash is probably Warner Brothers' biggest flop to date. Uh, yeah, but anyway, Chronoball happened. Dark Flash was doing things. He wanted to keep Barry trapped. And then, I feel this is so stupid because if young Barry did not sacrifice himself right there, main Barry would have had no chance at stopping him. And then, young Barry dies, so old Barry dies, and then everything is paradoxical, so it starts getting back together. And then Barry goes back in time trying to fix things, but he basically learned nothing throughout the movie. Throughout the whole movie, the point of this is that you cannot change things. So instead of like going, ending the movie with, hey, maybe we'll find some other, reason to get you out of jail, like they did with the Flash or the CW show or whatever. Maybe there's some other reason, maybe whatever. But he kept insisting on that tomato part, and then even though he said that he's not going to change things and he's going to put things right back, he changes one thing, that the tomatoes were on the top shelf, and then even though it's a similar timeline, it's not the same because George Clooney is Bruce Wayne, which I felt he looked really good. He looked really good as Bruce Wayne, man. Honestly, it was pretty impeccable. Turns out Barry is once again living in a different timeline. So it was just useless. Useless. Like, Barry's mom still died. Barry learned nothing about time travel. What was the point of all this? What was the point of 2.5 hours of movie to prove a point that you don't even follow through at the very end? I don't know. I don't know what was going on through Christina Hudson's mind, what was going on through WB's mind. I wouldn't care about WB. They are notorious for making the worst decisions possible when it comes to the DC movies in general. But man, my expectations was zero, but to end the movie like this and the final shot of the DCU being Barry's tooth falling off, it felt disrespectful to all these characters that I love, and I don't want to see this ever happen again, man. I get comedy in a superhero movie is fine, but comedy by disrespecting these characters is not tolerable for me at all. As a hardcore comic fan, as a hardcore DC fan, let me just say this. I have seen DC with Snyder and I have seen DC without Snyder, and I will take DC with Snyder every single time. At least he knows how to respect his characters. I would take DC with James Wan anytime. At least he knows how to respect characters. And no hate to Andy. He seems like a nice guy. And he obviously knows how to make a movie, but the writers and everything, they don't know how to respect these characters, and all they want is a cash grab. Like, this is the same company that, when Zack was making Man of Steel and BVS, they were like, why is why are we they suggested that, Clark's pod should not get destroyed because he was going to use it to go back to Krypton, and suggested that, oh, he needs the cape because the cape is what makes Superman fly. WB is that company. They're that stupid, idiotic company that makes these stupid, idiotic decisions. And it felt like with this movie, there was no one there to stop them. No one. I don't think anyone over here read any Flash comic apart from like loosely knowing what the point of Flashpoint was all about. And they didn't even follow it. Barry still changed the tomatoes on the shelf and still ended up in a different timeline, which one thing I wanted this movie to do was put a concrete stop to the DCEU. If you're not going to follow on that plan, put an end to it. Erase it completely at least. And you don't even do that. And you don't even do that. You're gonna start off Superman Legacy and all the other new movies by just saying, you won't even say that it's a whole new timeline. Maybe they won't. Maybe they won't. Maybe they won't, do a narrator's voice and say, in another timeline we have this, and then continue there. Maybe they won't even acknowledge this movie, I guess. But Barry just ended up in a different timeline, which is so weird. I guess that makes that I guess that makes it so that there's a chance for there being a new Flash actor in the DCU. But it's so sad to me that Barry went through all of that for his mom to be still dead. Nothing changed. At least his dad is free now, but everything is still weird right now. Everything. Insane, insane, man. There's no character development throughout the movie at all. That's it. That's it. For me, it was a one-time watch. I don't want to watch this movie again. Um, man, I really got furious at the end of this movie, huh? But yeah, it just doesn't feel right. Like, somewhere this movie, there is a good movie somewhere in between. There's like 10-20 minutes of good movie scenes within this movie, and the rest of it's just stupid filler or just downright bad, man. And it's just, there's so much potential, but no, it's all wasted with silly writing. The plot is like extremely simple, really. Like for a time travel movie, it's extremely simple, which should work in its favor, but it doesn't. It really doesn't. And at the end, nothing even happened. We didn't get any Flash lore, whatever. Um, the post-credit scene is just Aquaman drunk in a ditch. Again, state of the DCU right now. This is what happens when DC does not, when Warner Brothers does not listen to like fans, and they, this is all of this is you know how this movie talks about butterfly effects and stuff. This movie is the result of a butterfly effect when Warner Brothers decided to cut 30 minutes from Batman v Superman back in 2016. I said it. I said it. They cut 30 minutes of that movie for the theatrical run, which is what led to this movie being so mediocre. I said it. It's a whole big butterfly effect. They listened to regular moviegoers who had no idea of the lore, who did not want to wait for whatever, proper movie setup or proper movie lore, and they listened to the generic, gatekeepers of comics who were like, "Oh, Superman shouldn't kill" and whatever, not realizing the point of the whole like neck snap was is what's going to lead to that rule that Superman was like, I am not going to kill anyone ever again. They were like, no, this is not my Superman. He would not let people die, not considering that these are just normal superheroes and they're not the big idols from the comics. You don't see this happening with Marvel. Maybe because their characters are not that well known, but you don't see this happening with Iron Man, with Captain America, because again, I don't think people consider them with as much, they weren't that popular as Superman and Batman, I guess. But whatever, man. You just, if you want to make a DC universe, you need to separate the comics from the movies, right? And you gotta give them a chance to shine because I don't want to talk about Zack that much because so many of y'all already hate Zack Snyder, and I belong to the vocal minority that absolutely loves the shit out of his movies. Um, but yeah, like at least he had a plan. He was like going through character developments and stuff for the characters. Uh, but yeah, this is what the DCU was reduced to, and the next two movies are maybe going to be even bigger flops. Blue Beetle apparently is part of the new DCU. That looks, at least that looks like, at least that looks like it's fully committed to the Christopher Reeve cheesy, fun, movie experience vibe. Unlike this one, which was very confused in its tone, like it did not know what to do. And then no one's gonna watch Aquaman 2, so they might just shelf that movie altogether, man. It's insane. It's so crazy how it happened. And the fact that no one's gonna watch these two movies is probably gonna leave Superman and all the new DCU projects with like way less money to do anything. So I guess we should expect bad visual effects once again, man. Such as cause and effect. So this is what happens when you don't trust your creative people, and then years down the line, it leads to this. It's all a big, you know, I'm talking about the Flash movie, but it's all a big metaphor for like, what changing things in the past does to things in the future. So that's it. With that being said, I'm gonna end the video right now. I've probably talked a whole lot. I've been talking for 44 minutes now, and yeah, yeah, that was the Flash. 5 out of 10 movie for me. Maybe even a 3 or 4. I'm being generous to the 5 because it was good, but then it wasn't. But it's not for me, man. It's Yeah, it was a fine watch. It wasn't as bad as Black Widow, which I was like, which felt torture watching it. Apart from like watching Florence Pugh, but this movie is just. I try not to remember what happened behind the scenes, all the controversies and stuff, and it still does not make me feel good at the end of the day. It feels me. It makes me leave the experience with a bad taste in my mouth, and not even it's not even a bad taste. It's like I closed the movie thinking, okay, fine, it's ended now, time to sleep. It left me feeling nothing. And that's not something I want from my movie, man. I want to feel exhilarated. I want to feel, happy, hopeful, um, cheerful, or like surprised, stunned, sad at the end of the movie. These are the expressions you go for. You don't go for no expressions at the end of the movie. So yeah, I think Warner Brothers fumbled once again, which I guess they're on a freaking hot streak of making the most garbage decisions they could ever make since 2016, and even throughout the leaderships they've kept on doing this, and none of this is gonna change. It's all a canon event, man. Warner Brothers is gonna make stupid decisions. That's all I can say for the Flash. Thank you so much for sticking around if you did. Let me know if you have the same thoughts as I do, or if you have different thoughts. It's okay if you like this movie. I'm not gonna shit talk you like some guy on Twitter. I'm not. I really won't. Um, but yeah, for all of those who like trash talk Snyder's approach for his movies, this is what you get. This is what you get when you don't have a coherent setup, man. And I guess this movie was your cup of tea. It was for all the gatekeepers who were like, my Superman, and all that shit. This is what you get. You got what you wanted: bright colors, bright visuals, everything, funny humor, yada yada. This is what you get. It's what you fucking deserve, baby. And if you enjoyed, I'm happy for you, man. But it's fucking ironic. It's fucking ironic, man. Yeah, I'm going on off the deep end, man. I feel so unhinged right now. I want to like laugh at the face of all these people who, made fun of me for liking something in 2016, and then, all because they were like big gatekeepers of how the comic versions were and everything. And now look where that got you, baby. This is the Flash, and I'm Ryan, and I'm out. Enjoy your day. If you enjoy this movie, fine. If you don't, fine. I don't care about your opinions. You shouldn't care about mine. Um, have a nice day. Drink loads of water. There's a global heat wave going on, so like be very safe and cautious. For me, someone who lives in a very hot country, I'm fine with it. I'm used to this. But man, God, I have it's early in the morning. I just woke up and had nothing to eat, and I went so unhinged at the end. I'm so sorry if that hurt some of y'all, man. But yeah, part of me wants to laugh out at all these people for gatekeeping all of this, all of these movies and all of these characters, and then finally, when they get what they wanted, they aren't satisfied with it. This is my thing. This is what I want to say. It's all a big joke. It's all a big joke. That being said, if you want to see other reactions, manga, anime, movie trailers, whatever, check out my other videos. If you enjoyed those, then hit a like on those videos, let YouTube know that you enjoy them, and subscribe if you want to stay tuned. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs by the end of this year, and it would mean the world to me if you could help me get there, man. So, once again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm tired, exhausted, hungry, so I'm gonna go now. Bye bye. Enjoy your day. Again, remember, if you like this movie, don't let anyone, not even me, shit on your feelings and opinions. Please, don't let anyone say that you're weird for liking something. Don't. Or don't get affected by it. Let people say whatever they want. It's fine. It's fine. Yo, hey, listen. I'm recording this after the actual video got over. I had my breakfast and then came back. And while I was having my breakfast, I remembered that I had to talk about two things that I actually forgot to talk about in the original video. So I'm putting this as an add-on towards the end of the video. Um, the music in this movie was trash. Was absolutely trash. Sound design though was pretty great. Pretty great. The sound effects, the lightning cracking, brr, amazing, amazing. Music, forgettable. trash. The theme song had it seemed like it tried to borrow from the CW theme song, but again, trash. It's a big thing about this movie was we were all thinking that is it gonna is it gonna have a theme song as iconic, if not more, compared to At the Speed of Force? And the answer is no. It's you don't even realize when the theme song is playing apart from the actual title sequence. You don't realize that. There's one other piece of music that I really liked was I think there's apart from the theme song, there's theme song aside, there were two music pieces that I really liked. One was when he ran back in time to start up the first Chrono Bowl. That piece was good and memorable, a little bit memorable. Maybe it was the theme itself. I don't know, but and there was another one later on in the movie where things are sad and I forget which moment it exactly was. So apart from those two pieces, the music choices is funny, man. It's so bad. It's downright comedic how bad it is. Sound design great though. Sound design was great. And another thing that I wanted to talk about was Kiersey Clemens as Iris West. What did they do to her? I I don't know. I believe that she can act, right? But it felt so off. Everything about her felt so off. The way she approached Barry, the way she spoke, the way Barry interacted with her, all of it felt just so off. And it's not like Kiersey's a bad actress. Like I saw her in Zack Snyder's Justice League, and even though she did not speak in that, she for some reason I felt like there's something going on behind the scenes because even in Zack Snyder's Justice League, the expressions and stuff she did way better than she does in this movie. In this movie, it feels like even if she's laughing, it's quite obvious it's a fake laugh. If she's smiling, it feels like she's got some tense nervousness behind it. Uh, and it feels like she's just shoved into the movie for the sake of like, hey, it's a Flash movie. You're gonna include some Flash characters and then use them as background characters. It feels like that, just like Patty Spivot and that other guy. So it's so bizarre. And then I remember there's this Twitter article where Casey felt that she was very mistreated during the making of this movie, and they were mean to her for some reason, I guess, and she like broke down while shooting this. There is an article like this. It's on Twitter or you'll find it on Google, whatever. Let me check it right now. Wait a minute. Let me see this. Kiersey Clemens, Flash controversy. No, not Ezra Miller's controversy. No, 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 no. Yeah, gets candid on painful experience making, yeah, to answer questions and then other troubles and stuff. So yeah, it seemed like there was something off about her throughout the whole movie. Like, um, I don't know, man. She felt so off. But anyway, those are two things that I had forgotten to speak about in the original video. If I remember more later on, I will definitely add on to this. So, yeah. Until then, again, drink loads of water, be kind to others and yourself. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.